evening, everyone, and welcome to Under Center with Kirk Cousins. Mark Rosen back with you as your host. And Kirk, I don't know how else to say it. Like 2 weeks ago, I remember after the Green Bay game, we said the next real test for this Minnesota Vikings football team and yourself would be another NFC North game in Chicago. There's no other way to describe what we saw on Sunday, just coming up completely empty. Yep. It was that disappointing.
Yep. Yeah, very frustrating, disappointing. You said it. We looked at this game as a great test for us, a chance to take another step as a team, as an offense, as a quarterback. And like you said, fell flat, did not do enough offensively, did not make enough plays. And credit the Bears. They have a tremendous front seven. You could argue it's the best front seven or best defense in pro football. Thankfully, it is only one game, but the reality is we weren't good enough, and we had a chance to win that game. We lost by 10 points, and when you go back and watch the film, you see so many plays where we left some things out there, and I think it starts at the quarterback position. So that was a tough one to take. And when I talked to the media after the game, haven't seen the film yet. It's harder to answer all the questions as to what exactly took place. But after you watch it, you see a little bit of everything, and ultimately you just let one get away.
Everyone anticipated a low-scoring defensive game, but to see your offense shut out until late in the fourth quarter was stunning. I mean, given the fact that the Bears were missing some of their top defensive players, how do you explain it?
Yeah, so as you look at the game, the way the game was played, the first series we get to midfield, we convert 2 third downs. We're starting fast, doing a good job, and we get to a 3rd and 10. Not ideal, but we have a good 3rd and 10 play. Adams open, potentially for a touchdown. If not, we're going to be inside the 5-yard line, and the ball's overthrown by a foot. And you miss an opportunity there. So that's the first series. Tough one to walk off to the sideline knowing you let one get away, but you're going to miss a throw now and then, and that one we missed, and it hurt. The second series, you get the ball back thanks to some penalties and some conversions. We get across midfield. We're knocking on the door of field goal range, and we hit a slant, and we turn it over. And that was it. We had 2 possessions in the first half. And so if you're saying, what happened in the first half, 2 plays. I mean, it was one that was a foot long and one that was fumbled, and next thing you know, you don't have any points in the first half. I think the feeling of we let one get away is because it was only 2 plays, because we had moved the ball, we had crossed the 50, we had converted third downs, we had stayed on the field, and in a way, those 2 drives ended because of stubbing our own toe. So that was very frustrating. I think it was the third quarter when you look at the game that it got away from us. We had 3 possessions. The first obviously was a backbreaker to take a 5-step drop and have the sack, fumble, and then they recover it and get a field goal. And then we have 2 more possessions in the third quarter, and they're both 3 and outs. And so then next thing you know, you're in the fourth quarter and you haven't done much of anything. And so the third quarter with those 2 3 and outs were the ones that I think really hurt us. And had we done something there, I think we could have gotten back in the game, gotten some momentum, and then been able to make a push late.
How concerned are you, Kirk, about all the fumbles that you've had to deal with yourself personally?
Yeah, the key is if I'm going to have the ball not tucked, I'm going to fumble it. I mean, that's just reality. And so it's more about when you are under duress, tucking the ball, being willing to say uncle, and protecting it in a way that allows you to not fumble it. And whenever I've fumbled it, it's been because I am trying to make a play, trying to throw it away, trying to avoid the rush in such a way that the ball isn't tucked. And so I found that when the ball's tucked, I really don't fumble. I think I was hit probably 7 or 8 times yesterday with no fumble. And I'm still getting hit. They're still going at the ball. But you watch those 7 or 8 times, and the ball's well secured. And so it was the one time where the ball's not, in my chest that it comes loose. And then the one where Max strips my arm, I'm going to go back and look at that and say, what can I do differently? How can I avoid that? But the reality is a great pass rusher got underneath, got the edge. And as I'm literally trying to throw it, the ball is, in the passing motion, he hits my arm, and those are going to happen from time to time. It happens to everybody in this league.
The Bears were hell-bent on stopping Dalvin Cook in this rushing attack, and they have the personnel to do it, even though they were missing some of those top players. How did you have to change your game plan? It didn't seem like you had many second and short situations to try to attack them, and that was starting early on in that football game.
Any field position we had, we really created by moving the ball, converting some third downs, or they had some penalties. It didn't feel like we ever really had a a huge head start field position wise, or with the first down, we weren't as productive to where you're in 2nd and 1. Didn't have that as much this game. Again, that's going to happen, and you have to be able to answer it and respond. We didn't. If teams are going to gear up and stop the run, then we need to have answers in our play action. And in this game, the answers I think at times were there, and we didn't hit them. And I learned in this game that when you don't hit those answers, it can make for a long day because they're bottling up so many other parts of your offense.
When you hear that term, extending a play, what does it mean to you when you look at yourself on tape and if the Bears are coming at you with a rush, and that's the thing that quarterbacks do in this league to keep the offense going, and doesn't seem to be working for you right now, especially on the road?
Well, and that's the balance, right? I mean, I fumbled when I was trying to extend the play, when their linebacker blitzes and gets through, and I'm trying to get out of the pocket and trying to do too much, and it ends up being a fumble. And then other times, you really don't need to extend a play if there's people that are open, if protection's holding up, and then if it doesn't or guys are covered, that's where you got to take off. And there was one we hit to Diggsy on a 3rd down that was extending a play. I'm sprinting out to my right and find him deep on the sideline, and then we go for it on 4th down as a result of that completion, and we hit the 4th down as well. So, I can do it. I've done it. Many of our bootlegs are essentially the same thing, where you're getting outside the pocket and on the move and finding people and making throws. And you're right. It's a big part of football is being able to, make plays when it's not there, and it's something that I'll continue to try to get better at.
A good thing you're staying off of social media. I know you've talked about that as well. There is a lot of noise out there. A lot of fans are going after you and wondering if you're going to be able to do this on a regular basis to win a game on the road. Tough circumstances, finding that way, finding a will, finding that extra, whatever it takes. How do you take to that criticism?
It is what it is. I understand as a quarterback, a lot of the vitriol, a lot of the frustration will be directed at you. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's not merited. It's certainly, when the ball's in your hand, you deserve a lot of the responsibility. But it's slightly more complicated, and I don't know that those who are directing their vitriol at me really would acknowledge that or understand that, and that's okay. Like I said, you take the good with the bad, and you understand it comes with the territory. And I look forward to hopefully silencing that narrative as the rest of the season goes.
But even the former quarterbacks, the analysts on television say, is this the ultimate insult to a quarterback when they call you a game manager? That you said you got to be more than that, but that there are times when that's all is necessary. But right now we're not. You need to be more than that, at least on the road.
Again, slightly more complicated. I think that if you're winning, a game manager's acceptable. It's great. It's fine. I think last year, again, it depends what you're being asked to do, what you're called to do, what the game calls for. Didn't have to be more than a game manager in our 2 wins. Our 2 games on the road, missed some throws, but I don't view it as a label of he can't do that. I mean, I go back and say, really go watch tape, go study the games from last year. And I just don't see it being we've got to win in spite of Kirk, or we can't ask him to do too much. I mean, I just don't see that when I go back and watch the tape. I think, I'm out there making a lot of throws, being asked to do quite a bit. This year, with our mentality of running the football and play action and things like that, it hasn't been the same, offensive system, but it's still something that, I definitely want to improve and play in such a way that people say, hey, he can go get us a win on the road in a big game.
All right, we'll take a break right now. We're going to come back with wide receiver Adam Thielen to discuss Sunday's game in Chicago and look ahead to the New York Giants. Stay with us, Under Center with Kirk Cousins. And welcome back to Under Center with Kirk Cousins, and our special in-studio guest is Adam Thielen, wide receiver. And Adam, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Let's start with after the game, and we'll take it from there, and I'll let you fill in the blanks here. You did an interview after the game against the Bears, and your exact quote was, at some point, you're not going to be able to run the ball for 180 yards. Even with the best running back in the NFL, that's when you have to be able to throw the ball You have to be able to hit the deep balls. What would you like to elaborate on that quote?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how media or fans take things that you say and make it what they want it to be. I don't think I could say anything more generic that any offense would say. You can't be one-dimensional in this league. It's very, very, very difficult to win. If you listen to defensive coordinators talk, they want to make the offense one-dimensional, and that's how they want to win. And so what I was saying was, and I think it's pretty clear what I said is you can't just expect to win every single game in this league by running the football. Some games you're going to be able to do that, and we've done that, right? But at the end of the day, to go to where we want to go, I think we're going to have to be able to move the ball by throwing the football. And again, after in that interview, I talked about the first thing you do after a game is you look yourself in the mirror and you say, what could have I done better? Is there plays that I didn't give full effort on? Is there plays that I could have ran a better route, got open quicker, things like that? So that's what I did today, and I'm ready now to move forward to New York.
Kirk, did you take offense to that quote at all?
No, like he said, it's reality. And I really want to apologize to him because there's too many opportunities where we could have hit him on Sunday. And post-game, when I talk to the media, I always say, hey, until I watch the film, it's hard for me to really give you a straight answer. Well, now it's Tuesday night. I've watched the film. And the reality is there were opportunities for him. The one that's most obvious is the 3rd and 10 at the beginning of the game. We're near midfield. That's arguably 7 points. If you put the ball where it needs to be, he's shown, number 19 shown that he will make that play. And he'll probably finish the play in the end zone and pull away from the defender. Adam's not just a really good player or one of the best players on the Vikings. He's one of the best players in the NFL, one of the best players in the world, period, regardless of position. And so, we want to, we need to, and when I say we, really, I mean I need to get him more opportunities, get him the football. There's a couple others that I go back and watch it, a dagger, a corner post, a fade throw in the end zone, where I can make it easier on him, give him opportunities. Yes, was the Bears' front seven really good? Yes. Did they make plays in the back end occasionally? Yes. But, I didn't help things with giving him more opportunities. So if we run the ball successfully, if we run the ball more consistently, so be it. But when we do take our shots or we have our chances, we got to hit them. And the reality was I didn't. We didn't. And that's where I think you're frustrated after a game and you're looking to improve going into the next week. But that's really my summary on it. And I look forward to giving him and Stephon more opportunities, in the weeks ahead.
What are the discussions like in the sidelines between series? You guys are always looking at your iPads or whatever that you have, but what are those conversations like between you and the receivers and Kevin Stefanski?
Well, I don't like to over-communicate it, and so I try to say, look, if we know what happened, I don't need to go over there and talk just to talk. So I try to, when I do talk, it's because of something needs to be said, and where there's confusion. And really, I think there hasn't been a lot of confusion except for, hey, I think he can give me a chance there. I mean, he says to me on the corner post yesterday when I checked it down to Alex, I think he got me there. And that's the kind of honest dialogue that you want to have, where it's candor and it's healthy, and I want to hear that. And so, but yeah, Adam, what's your perspective on the sideline?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few things. So I think, as a receiver, you don't see the pass rush. You're just running your route. You feel like you're open. And it's frustrating, right? I'm an emotional player. I think anybody who has any success in this league has emotion when they play this game. And so I think for me, I've really tried to hold that frustration in, hold that emotion in. So when I get to the sideline, I go sit by myself. I let myself calm down a little bit, and then I try to focus on what I can do on that next series. Because reality says you're not going to be able to change what happened in the past of that game. So trying to figure out the best way to show your teammates that you're dialed into the next series, that you're confident that we can move the ball. So that's something I've really tried to focus on as a young player. I was very emotional on the sidelines, but like I said, I'm really trying to make sure that because at the end of the day that does no good. It doesn't do good personally because then you're not thinking about the next plays, and it does no good for your teammates because they see that it might frustrate them, things like that. So it's an emotional game. It's very difficult. to hold those emotions. But at the end of the day, that's what's best for the team.
The people misinterpret that emotion sometimes.
Yeah,
watching
for sure.
the game.
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't think, and Kirk can attest to this, that if you haven't played this game and you haven't played it at a high level, you have no idea what goes into it, the preparation, the hard work. We bust our tail, OTAs, minicamp, training camp, and then you get to these. You have 16 opportunities, and you have 4 quarters in each one of those opportunities to show what you can do and to show all that work. So I think there's just so much emotion because of that, of how hard you work. So for me, I just think that you have to have emotion to play this game, but at the same time, you have to learn how to handle that emotion and turn it into a positive.
Go ahead, Kirk.
I look forward to finding that balance the rest of the year where, we're probably not going to run for 200 yards a game, but I look forward to being a team that we know we can move it on the ground. And then if teams are going to take that away, we say, okay, let's go. And let's push the ball vertically down the field, throwing it to some really good playmakers. And now you start to do that, defenses, don't know what to do. And I look forward to putting it all together because I think last year we showed we can push the ball down the field vertically. I think this year early we've showed we can really pound it. But like Adam said, some games it's not going to be one or it's not going to be the other, and you have to be ready to play the hand that you're dealt week to week. And I think we are still trying to find that way to put it all together where no matter what the team wants to take away that we're playing, we have the answer to complement it, and we're going to execute in such a way that we get it done.
In your 2 victories at U.S. Bank, dominating early starts, Adam, again, run-centric in terms of what Dalvin Cook's been able to do to the offensive line. Is there a sense that you get in the flow of the game? You're not getting the ball maybe as much as you'd like or in a perfect world, but you're okay with it because you're seeing the results on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and that's at the end of the day, we play this game to win. And as long as you're winning, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I have 0 catches or 100 catches. I want to win. And I think that's the cool thing about this team. Everybody in that locker room wants to win. They don't care about individual stats. They don't care about going to a Pro Bowl, things like that. We want to win because at the end of the day, it's really is not fun to lose in this league.
No, it's not.
Mondays are not fun.
But by nature, wide receivers, we've had a bunch of them here. For lack of a better word, have kind of a diva feel to them. I mean, that's the case. Guys have been concerned about their stats, making Pro Bowls. Maybe they get incentives with their contracts. So it doesn't always go hand in hand with the position that you play.
Yeah, for sure. And it kind of goes back to what I was talking about before. Like, if you don't have emotion when you play this game, it's going to be very difficult to play well. But it's how you handle those emotions. So, yes, you want the ball. You want the football because you're a competitor. You want to help this team win. And if you don't have that in you, you're probably not going to be very successful in the field. But it's how you handle that, how you go about your business. And, like I said, at the end of the day, it's about the W.
And I feel when I sense the passion and emotion from Diggsy and Adam, what's behind it is, Kirk, I can't help us win if I'm not getting the ball. And that's not diva. That's a deep passion to help a team win. And that's where it comes from. That's ultimately the root source of it is, man, if I got a chance here to help us win, but the ball's got to come my way. And I look back and I say, you're right. I mean, you're 100% right. Yes, there are a couple times where the protection breaks down and you guys don't sense that. And so, we're not going to bat 1,000. But most of the time, you're right.
When you have a game like you did Sunday in Chicago, there is, even though your record is 2-2, there seems to be the sky is falling feeling on the outside, looking inside of this building. How do you isolate yourself from the noise outside when you're going about your business now, getting ready for the next game against the Giants in New York on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I think you go and you focus on the things that you can control. I think you really find out what team you have after a loss like that. And how are we going to prepare this week? How are we going to practice? We'll find out on Wednesday what kind of mindset this team has, because if guys are flying around and doing everything they can effort-wise and preparing, that's when you have something special. I think those are the type of guys we have in this room. Everybody's frustrated, and you can go one of two ways. You can have the locker room fall apart, or you can come together, you bust your tail, you go to work, and you try to figure out how to help this team win.
I think what's interesting is in the NFC, no team is 4-0. So at best, the people we're chasing have one more win than we do. We're 2-2, they're 3-1. Now I'm not saying that to say that we're fine, we're good. The way we played on Sunday, we got to be better. But the reality is the sky isn't falling. There's 12 games in the regular season left to write the story. And Oakland came in here last week, and we beat them in such a way that I think they probably felt the sky was falling. They go on the road this past Sunday and win. And they're 2-2. And so you realize that, it's a long journey. Yes, I understand fans have emotion as well, and they're going to react in such a way where it's really frustrating to watch your team go into Soldier Field and not get a W and not play at a level that we're capable of. But when you start to look at facts and you start to look at reality, you can see it in a way that's encouraging and gives you a reason to get up Wednesday morning and work your tail off to get ready to go beat the Giants.
And Adam, when you think about where this team is at right now, it is only 4 weeks into the season. So you're saying, well, see how this team reacts on Wednesday. If this was week 12 or week 13, maybe that would be more of a critical part. But do you think this is a critical week, going on the road again, trying to prove your mettle against an NFC opponent, because you don't want to fall too far behind in that situation either?
Yeah, I think it's just a great opportunity to show what we can do. You have 16 opportunities to show what kind of football player you are, what kind of offense you are, what kind of team you are. And this is another great opportunity on the road, a bounce-back game to show that we are capable of doing some of these things that helps your team win. So it's exciting. It's exciting to get back on the field on Wednesday and go to practice, because all you want to do after a loss is just get back on the field and start playing football again.
So just to clarify one more time, your quote after the game yesterday, your interview you did, wasn't directed at the quarterback, wasn't directed at the offensive coordinator. Was it just directed in general at what this team needs to do to figure out how to win?
Yeah, I think
consistently.
I think it was in general for any offense in the NFL. I think any offense that's being real is going to say the exact same thing. You have to hit deep balls, number one, because otherwise corners sit on you. You have to be able to run the football when you need to, and you have to be able to throw the football, because, like Kirk said, some games are going to dictate that you have to throw the ball to win. Some games are going to dictate that you have to run the ball to win, and it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you are doing the things you need to do to win. So, like I said, it was as general as I could have got, but obviously, people will find a way to twist it and make controversy and try to split your team. So we're not going to let that happen.
You go home and you got a couple of kids that keep you hopping. Life is just moves on. You kind of separate all that because you got a great family you get to go home to.
Yeah, I'm very blessed, very fortunate that God has put them in my life, because it makes it a lot easier after a loss to be able to go home. And my 3-year-old could care less if I won or lost or how many catches I had. So it's fun to be able to go home and see them and play football with him and play baseball. I think he's more into baseball than anything right now, so it's pretty fun.
And you mentioned Adam being a Minnesota guy. You're rooting for the Twins, obviously, against those damn
Yeah,
Yankees.
here we go.
Right.
You'll be in New York this weekend, but
There's a Yankees fan in here.
You're probably not going to be able to sneak away, I assume, on Saturday night to catch Game 2. Maybe Coach Zimmer may give you special
There have been
permission
some
to do
whispers.
that. Or are
We're
you?
tempted.
Oh boy, yeah, no, I'm super excited. Kirk and I have been talking about it. We kind of want to get a group together and go Monday night when they're at home, but. Super excited. Obviously growing up in Minnesota, being a Minnesota sports fan, it's always fun to see playoff, of any professional sport.
Tell them about your grandpa watching the Twins.
Yeah, and that's another great point. Kirk and I always talk about just, fun facts about each other, and I was telling him that my grandpa, I don't think, ever missed a Twins game.
Really?
There's 162 a year.
And for
Minimum.
the last probably 5 years of his life, 160 games. He watched 160 games, but he probably watched all of them twice because they replay the next day at like noon, And so
that's
my
dedication.
So my grandpa, every time I'd go to visit him, Twins game would be on the background. It wouldn't be live; it'd be on replay. And but yeah, he didn't miss a game. So it's kind of fun to, I guess, he's not here anymore, and to carry that tradition and support the team.
But those guys at least have a series to play, 3 out of 5. Unlike football, where you're one and done if you get in that situation. So maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, and the Yankees kind of have had our number over the years. So
that's an understatement.
It's kind of cool though. I'm glad that we got the Yankees because this team this year has been so fun to watch. The way that they hit home runs and It seems like they have a really close-knit group. You can see them having fun in the dugout and doing that stuff, which I think is probably the coolest thing about sports, is the brotherhood you form, the relationships you make, and there's nothing better than winning with those brothers. So pretty cool to watch.
Go Twins. We'll be watching. It's fun, you have a long day at work and go home and turn on playoff baseball. I've always enjoyed that in the fall, especially when it's your local team playing.
Yeah, it's going to be a special weekend, that is for sure, and especially playing New York. And they have had the Twins number, but it's like anything else, like any other NFL roster or Major League Baseball. They say, well, we haven't played well against that team, but a lot of those guys weren't there. Most of those guys weren't there when the Twins have had their issues with the Yankees or whatever the case may be. So they don't care about the history, the past failures that they've had. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's kind of funny actually to hear fans' perspective. People that have been watching the team for so long, talk about those things. But in reality, like rosters, like you said, change so much from year to year that it's a totally different team. And but it's still cool to obviously have that tradition and all that. But yeah, it's like the Twins. I mean, they're a completely different team this year than they were last year. And hopefully that's a good thing, and we can take down those Yankees.
So now that we look ahead to the Giants, the head coach of the Giants, Pat Shurmur, was your coach. Pat went to Michigan State, and so I've been around him a little bit. He came around East Lansing when I was playing there a couple of times. He had been a coach in the NFL during that span. A couple of times I'll see him in warm-ups pregame when we play his teams, and we talk about the Spartans, but I don't know him like you do. Talk about your memories with Coach Shurmur, your experience with him. You won a lot of games together, and obviously I believe he was the play caller in what has been kind of your coming up years and your kind of coming out party.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to go to see Pat this weekend, and he was obviously, like you said, so influential in my career, and really gave me a lot of opportunities to do what I do well, and kind of had a lot of trust and belief and faith in me to perform. So it'll be great to see him. He's such a great guy too. We've had so many conversations. I remember every day at lunch he'd come sit by me, and we would talk about random things, not even anything about football. His son played at Vanderbilt, and we'd always talk about their games the weekend before, and so I had a great relationship with him, and it'll be great to see him. I mean, that's the cool part about the NFL is you start to, the longer you're in this league, you start to meet guys, and you start to get to know them on a personal level, and whether it be coaches, players, and it's just a really unique thing, and it's so cool, the brotherhood, and everybody's going through the same thing, and it's just really cool. I mean, seeing Cordero this weekend, I was texting with him after the game, man, I miss that guy because he was another guy that's such a big part of my career. He helped me out so much in so many different ways, and we were roommates for 4 years on the road. So definitely miss that guy. It's a unique thing. It just doesn't happen in other professions. Can
you find that magic elixir that has served you so well at home, getting off those 2 great starts, to take that on the road with you one of these weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to a fast start. I mean, this team is built to start fast. If we can start fast and let our defense do what they do really well, we can have a lot of success. So, again, it just comes down to focusing on what you can do this week to help your offense, help your team get better, and ultimately help your team win. So that's what we're going to do.
Awesome. Adam, thanks so much for coming on. Let's get back to work this week and get a W on Sunday.
All righty, appreciate it.
And welcome back to Under Center with Kirk Cousins. Nice to chat with Adam Thielen, and not just about the Vikings game in New York, but also the Twins playing the Yankees this weekend as well. And speaking of New York, Kirk, you're very familiar with this opponent, having played them a number of times, and you were with the Washington Redskins, and especially playing in MetLife Stadium. Why don't you give us your early thoughts about that game?
Yeah, I have so much respect for the Giants, for Coach Shurmur. They've now won 2 in a row with their rookie quarterback, Daniel Jones, taking over, and they're going to, at home, they're going to have a lot of momentum, a lot of energy. Janoris Jenkins, a corner for them, is a player that comes to mind as someone I've played against in the past, and I believe had 2 interceptions, or had an interception last week and then really created another interception with a tip ball. So very good player. They have, I think, 3 first-round picks, which is pretty unique, and so they've got some talent out there, and it is a tough place to play. Always interesting, too, with the wind and the weather there. It can be pretty tough environment. So, our backs are against the wall a little bit, and we're going to have an edge to us with the way we prepare and then the way we go there. I think there's going to be a hunger and a real desperation to go win a game.
Did you anticipate? You've gone against Eli Manning a number of times. Now he's wearing the headsets on the sidelines, watching Daniel Jones take over. Eli's had a lot of people feel a Hall of Fame type career with those
absolutely.
2 Super Bowl wins.
Oh yeah, he's a gold jacket for sure. I don't really think that's anybody who's going to debate that. I don't think has a lot to stand on, but certainly a changing of the guard in some ways there. And really that happened when you draft a guy that high, in the first round. And it was, these kinds of things happen over time. You play enough years, and people move on, and so they've had success early now with him at quarterback, and I look forward to going in there and being able to put together a complete game, offense, defense, special teams, and win however we have to win, whatever way it's going to take. Run the ball, throw the ball, last second play, whatever it may be, to find a way to get on that plane and fly back to Minnesota with a victory and get to 3-2.
You signed the contract you signed because the Vikings offered that to you, and you worked out a really good deal for yourself. Does that elevate the expectations because the dollar amount's always seemingly associated with your name as the season goes on? Does that even cross your mind?
We just need to win. I think if I was being paid a lot less and we weren't winning, people would be upset. If I was being paid double what I'm being paid and we were winning, people would be so happy. It just comes down to winning, and I've said it, and I think to people they're tired of hearing it. We have a good football team. I think our defense is a very, very sound defense. I think we can run the football. I think we have the talent to throw the football, and we need to go out and show it week in and week out in tough environments against good football teams. But I believe in our group.
It's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde type of thing, watching the Vikings playing at home and then on the road so far. There's early starts, the fast starts can dictate so much with this football team because of your defense. And you got to get that done somehow. I'm sure that's the discussion when you're going into New York on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree that a fast start has helped us. And that even goes back to last year. And whenever we started fast, I felt we played a much better football game. When we started slow, things started to get away from us. I'd like to be getting to a place where we overcome that, where even when we start slow, we still keep our foot in the door, make enough plays, and find a way to win at the end. So
we almost did in Green Bay. You had that chance.
Well said. And so I want to, become a team that whether start fast or not, we find a way to get it done. Against the Bears, we did start fast in the sense of on offense, converting a couple third downs, moving the football. We just missed a throw by a foot. And I don't mean to say that dismissively, but I'm trying to just simplify the narrative to understand what really happened. So, it would be great on the road, especially when you're in a tough environment, to get a fast start so that you can kind of calm everybody down and get settled. But whether we have that or not, we got to dig our heels in and find a way to come out with a win.
Does it just eat at you, or do you just get back to work and go, okay, I can't wait till Sunday to get back on the field?
It's both. It's both. I mean, it eats at you, certainly. It really tests you mentally, emotionally. You don't sleep real well, night after a loss. And yet you also say, I can't wait for the next Sunday, because you're itching for the chance to get back out there and make amends and show people what you're capable of. And so you do have an edge to you as you prepare. But, unfortunately, we have to wait 6 days, and so that's what you do.
All right, Kirk, well, good luck on Sunday against the Giants. You got to get to 3-2, and then a lot of things can change. You come home and play the Eagles right afterwards.
That's right. Looking forward to it. And you string a few together, and suddenly everything's right in the world again. So best way to do that is start with a win in New York. Let's go get that done.
All right, you've been listening to Under Center with Kirk Cousins. Have a good evening.